What's good, people? It's your boy Lowery. What's good, people? It's your boy Lowery.
True hippie.
Yes. What's good, everyone? Good evening. This is a late one. This is a very late one. Just came back from a screening tonight. Watched the new Running Man film, which I will be reviewing next week. But who saw that Traitors, man? Who saw that Traitors ending? First off, I think Alan Carr was probably one of the baitest traitors that we've had on TV. Like, when you see with what was happening on the show, it wasn't that hard to suss out that he was who he was. But I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed this season. Although I would have loved to have seen like Nico last a bit longer in the show, because I felt he could have definitely done some fun things in there. So he went out too early, in my opinion. But yeah, overall, man, good show. Who's in the building? What's good, cuz? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. How we doing? Yeah. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, perfect. All right. Everyone's locked in. Look, man, like I just said, I've just come from 1 second. Let me just turn my mic down, because yeah, that's better. Yeah, so I've just come from a screening of The Running Man, which is a reboot of the Arnie film from the 80s, but I can't review that tonight, so it will be on next week's show. So make sure you tune in for that. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that like button. I always say this on every stream, but I hate doing the algorithm games, man. It's so long, but liking the stream does help. It tells YouTube that people like my stuff, and then it shows it to more people. If you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. And yeah, so let's get into the show, man. So look, welcome back. This is your weekly rundown of all the biggest stories in film and TV, and I have a jam-packed show for tonight. So we're going to be starting off with some major Star Trek news, as Paramount is looking to reboot the franchise in an interesting way. Then I'll get into the Call of Duty movie that was announced last week. It was announced like the day after my show, which was annoying. After that, we've got confirmation of a Gremlins 3 movie with... Actually, I won't ruin it yet. I'll get into that in the story. But yeah, we are getting a Gremlins 3 movie. Then we're going to be talking about a new Rambo movie coming. Then The Mummy 4. Yes, we are getting a new Mummy movie. And then I'll be reacting to quite possibly one of the biggest films. Actually, yeah, it will be one of the biggest films for next year, and it's the Michael Jackson biopic. The first teaser trailer dropped today, so I'm going to be getting into that, and then I will wrap the show with my review for the big movie that is releasing tomorrow, and that is the new Predator movie. Yes, we have a new Predator movie, and it's called Predator Badlands. So yeah, before I get into the show, guys, I need... Houston, we have a problem. 1 second. I have no source. Sorry, guys. Sorry about this. Boom. All right, cool. Let me know if you can see this. So these are the teething issues that you do when you're rushing to do stuff coming from a... See, it's not always good to go in screenings before a stream, but I gotta do what I gotta do. There we go. Can you guys see it now? We're back. But yeah, look, before I get into the news, this literally like released like an hour ago. GTA 6 is getting delayed again. This game was supposed to come out this year. Then it then it got delayed. They dropped the trailer and we were like, yeah, that looks wicked. It was supposed to come out, I think, next year, March time, I think it was. And then now Rockstar Games has confirmed that GTA 6 is now going to be coming out in November next year. That's a whole year away. We were getting ready for playing GTA Q1 of next year. I know people that have booked work holiday to play GTA 6 when it first comes out. Now that holiday is worthless. Like, how are you going to go back to your manager and be like, yo, can I take that holiday back? And your manager's going to be like, oh, I thought you was going away. You can't tell them that you booked that for GTA 6. But yeah, man. What's this? GTA 6 will be funny. 2030. This game has been in the making since I was like a teenager. I think the last GTA game came out. When was the last GTA game? Let's see. 2013. 13 years ago. That's how long GTA 6 has been in production for. That's insane. So it's quite disappointing news. But I'm happy that it's still coming out. But my gosh, a year delay. Something must have happened. You know, they weren't confident with something. I think it's to do with their online stuff, because they have like a GTA Online. If you play GTA, and it's apparently it makes billions. Like it. So you're not going to change something that makes you so much money that easily. And also, November next year is closer to the Christmas period. You're going to have the new Avengers Doomsday movie. You're going to have, I think, an Avatar movie. There's a few big things happening at the end of next year. So maybe with all of that happening at the same time, it will boost everything at once. But I thought I'd just quickly say this to you guys, like, yeah, GTA 6 is delayed. So any GTA fans in the building, like me, sorry, man. Sorry to be relaying that news. GTA's like Blade taking too long. I don't think we're going to get a Blade movie within like the next 5 years, unfortunately. And I spoke about that on my last show. So yeah, that's that. All right, cool. Let's get into some Star Trek news. So Star Trek fans, you'll be happy to know that there is a reboot coming. However, as posted on IGN, the Paramount reportedly want a fresh direction with this new Star Trek film, and they don't want to have Chris Pine and the rest of the J.J. Abrams reboot crew. So let's get into the news. So Paramount reportedly wants to make a new Star Trek movie without Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of J.J. Abrams reboot crew. In August, Skydance closed its $8 billion deal to take over Paramount, which owns Star Trek, with a new board led by Skydance boss and a Trekkie fan, David Ellison. While there hasn't been a full Star Trek film released in theaters for nearly a decade, stars of Abrams Star Trek films are often asked in their press junkets about reprising their roles, and they always say that they would love to do so. For example, in August, Simon Pegg, who played Scotty, said at the time that the time was right for another Star Trek universe. The Kelvin timeline is an alternate universe in the Star Trek franchise, which is separate from the Prime timeline that Trekkie fans know and love. So, and that's how J.J. Abrams got around the whole canon events within the Star Trek universe. So yeah, Abrams created this new timeline, the Kelvin timeline, and He used time travel in it, travel events, and this meant that he could modernize characters and visuals without breaking anything from the television show, which was quite clever, you know, kind of like what Marvel are doing with this whole multiverse stuff. And yeah, look, I wouldn't say I'm a massive Star Trek fan, but I enjoyed the movies. That first movie, Into the Darkness, that came out in 2013, that was kind of like the fresh reboot. We saw Chris Pine, not Into the Darkness, Star Trek, that came out in 2009. It was a young Kirk played by Chris Pine. He's quite a rebellious character, and he joins Starfleet, and you know, he has to travel back in time to kill people, blah 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 blah, and he has to form his Enterprise crew whilst learning about a lot of things that, you know, comes with being a leader on board the Enterprise, or whatever I don't even know. Someone in the chat, I know there's some Trekkie fans here, let me know what the name of the Star Trek ship was in that Star Trek movie, not the TV show. And that movie did well. It grossed $385 million worldwide, and it revitalized the franchise for a newer demographic. Then you had Into the Darkness, Star Trek Into the Darkness, that came out in 2013. That is my favorite Star Trek of the new films, and that introduced Khan, who was played by what was his name? I should have this. Benedict Cumberbatch, who I thought played a really good Khan, and it was like a reimagining of the Wrath of Khan story, and it flips key moments that Star Trek fans know and love about it. But yeah, no, as a non-Star Trek fan, I felt it was a really good film. It was darker than the first one, but yeah, I thought it was cool. And then they had Star Trek Beyond, which came out in 2016, set 3 years into a 5-year mission. This one has Idris Elba starring in it as Krall, who was a former like Starfleet soldier turned alien warlord, and basically the crew has to reunite to rebuild their spirit of exploration. And I think because Into the Darkness went so far away from what true Star Trek fans like about Star Trek, Beyond kind of lent back into the adventure tone of Star Trek. And so critically, and I think fans of Star Trek actually enjoyed Beyond a lot more, because it felt like watching a TV show, a TV show just with a higher budget, but it didn't perform as well financially. So yeah, kind of like Star Trek has just been left alone. And it's interesting that they want to move away from Chris Pine and Zachary, and you have Zoe Saldana, and maybe J.J. Abrams as the director. I mean, let me know in the chat, guys. If you are Star Trek fans, and if you watch the films, did you like the take that J.J. Abrams went with the Star Trek movie? Should Paramount start fresh again, or should they finish what Abrams wanted to finish? There were rumors of a Star Trek 4, Kirk meeting his late father, who was going to be played by Chris Hemsworth, through like some time travel. There was going to be more exploration of space, and also there were a potential of merging threads with the Prime timeline that we've seen, that fans know and love from the television show, and trying to connect that with the Kelvin crew, which would have been kind of cool to see. So yeah, let me know if you think that was they were onto something, or do you think, you know, it's nearly been a decade since the last film? Does the world still want a Star Trek? Does it still want it being on the big screen? You know, with television shows doing so well, does it make sense for Star Trek to go back to the big screen? Should they just focus on making higher end TV shows and just putting all their ideas and creativity into making newer Star Trek TV shows? That was it. USS Enterprise, the Voyager, Defiant, and Discovery. That was, yeah. Someone in the chat says, I like the reboot, I enjoy them all, but interested to see what they do. I'm not mad about this as a Trekkie. Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know that, as a Star Trek fan, you're not too mad at them trying to reboot the franchise without them, the actors that I would probably say, probably my generation and below, probably know Star Trek more from the films. So, yeah, I'll leave it there. But yeah, that is just a quick update on Star Trek. If there will be more news coming out soon. If they're talking about a reboot, that means they've definitely got some ideas of where they want to take it. But yeah, when that becomes available, when more news becomes available about that, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to be talking about the new Call of Duty movie. Let's get into this news. So Taylor Sheridan is going to be working on the new Call of Duty movie with Peter Berg, who's going to be directing it. Taylor Sheridan is a writer on Yellowstone and Sicario. He's like one of the hottest people that you want on your projects right now. So Sheridan will pen the video game adaptation in a surprising move following the top creator's departure for NBC Universal. So he was with Paramount and he left Paramount to go to NBC Universal, but he's still working on the Call of Duty movie, which is going to be with Paramount. So let's get into this. So while Taylor Sheridan is known for his vast empire of television shows for Paramount Plus, his output on the film side has been as arid as a Texas drought. That is about to change. Despite the recent headlines of Sheridan decamping the new David Ellison-owned studio for NBC Universal, the cowboy isn't done with Paramount just yet, and he just landed one of the highest profile gigs of his career. Sheridan has closed a deal to write the adaptation of Call of Duty, one of the biggest video games of all time. The deal comes as Peter Berg, the man's director behind such movies as Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon, and Friday Night Lights, has closed his deal to direct and also write the adaptation. Sheridan will also produce the feature, as will Berg. David Glasser, who runs 101 Studios, the production company behind Sheridan's shows, is producing as well. And it goes on to say here that Call of Duty has been one of the top selling game franchises in the US for the past 16 years. If you don't know, Call of Duty is a first-person action shooter spanning across many different times of war. So you've got like a World War II, Vietnam, you had a futuristic one. I play it, it's a really cool game, but yeah, interesting that they're turning it into a movie. I'm not surprised, but I thought they would have done more of a TV show for Call of Duty. And I mean, this Call of Duty movie or TV show has been spoken about for many years, and yeah, we're finally getting it, which is pretty cool. No information about the casting or what the plot's going to be or what game is it going to take from. My guess is that they will probably go down the Modern Warfare route, only because it's current. I think the storyline, especially in Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2, were amazing when I played it. And I think that story, similar to like a game like The Last of Us, would hold up really well in a film. So yeah, this is just a quick news, nothing to delve too much into, but yeah, we are getting a Call of Duty movie, and yeah, when more news becomes about it, such as like cast, what game they're going to adapt and so on, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. But let me know if you guys are Call of Duty players in the chat. I'll be interested to know your thoughts on this. Let's see what we've got here. How are we doing for time? All right, cool. We're doing all right for time. And thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I know this is a late night. But yeah, look, let's get into the next one. We're getting we are getting a Gremlins 3. So let's get into the news. Warner is making a Gremlins 3 with Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus returning. Here on the Hollywood Reporter article, it says that Warner Bros. Is reviving the Gremlins franchise after more than 3 decades and with a couple of powerhouse names back on board. Warner Bros. Discovery chief David Zaslav announced the green light of a new Gremlins film during the company's third quarter earnings call on Thursday. Zaslav said that Steven Spielberg is back on board as executive producer through his company Amblin Entertainment. The 1984 original film's writer Chris Columbus is also returning to produce and direct the movie. Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein, the directing duo behind this summer's horror hit Final Destination Bloodlines, are teaming up with Columbus to write the new feature installment. And it says here that the Gremlins movie will release on the 19th of November 2027. And it will be the first Gremlins movie in 37 years. Man, I didn't see this coming. I mean, Gremlins is Gremlins. Like, it has a cult following. The original came out in 1984. Then the sequel came out in 1990. It's kind of like a dark horror comedy, and oh yeah, it says it here. They introduced an adorable creature called Mogwai that adopted as a pet by a suburban family. But when the creature's caretaking rules are broken, so basically you couldn't feed the gremlin, else it turns into like a monster. But the film was a box office hit, produced for only $11 million and made $151 million domestically. Crazy. That's mad. But yeah, look, we've got the OG team returning, Spielberg and Columbus. Are they going to be able to capture that 80s mix of charm and chaos again? Or do you think, rather than trying to rehash what they did in the past, they're going to have to think of some new ideas and execute things differently? I think they'll probably have to do the latter, especially with how long it's been since a Gremlins movie. In this generation, you're going to have to try and keep the fans of Gremlins happy, but at the same time you want to get a new audience. You want to galvanize a new audience, because I know they're probably going to want to do up to Gremlins 10 if it's successful. Look, man, we seem to be getting, I mean, I know I say this on every stream, but we seem to be getting legacy sequels everywhere. There was a recent Ghostbusters reboot, I don't even know what that was. Beetlejuice 2 recently came out, and Beetlejuice 3 has apparently been confirmed. Are we just in this era of nostalgic cash grab, or does it make sense that, with Gremlins having such a nostalgic feel about it and the money that it makes, and it definitely is an iconic dark horror film, especially in like popular culture. So does it make sense to bring it back after close to 40 years? I don't know. But, will a Gremlins film suit this generation? That is the big question. I don't know. I think horror has evolved so much. I think when Gremlins came out in that era, it was scary because you hadn't seen something like that before. And trying to, again, rehash something like that. Will it work now? I don't know. But yeah, exciting news for Gremlins fans, and it's nice to know that they have a set date already. November 2027, the 19th of November 2027. You've got Steven Spielberg producing the movie and Chris Columbus writing and directing it. It's in good hands. This movie is in good hands. The casting, I will be interested to see who they're going to cast in this. And what tone are they going to go for? Are they going to go for that dark comedy, or are they going to go darker and make it more grounded, more serious? I don't know. Someone's saying here, Gremlins was brilliant when I was younger, scared the hell out of me though. This is it. When Gremlins first came out, there hadn't been anything like that before. So seeing this cute little, pet, as soon as you feed it, turn into this gremlin, this monster, yeah, was like something that you hadn't seen before. So of course I can imagine that giving you nightmares. But with so much horror that we've seen since in 37 years, I think a lot of people would have been desensitized to seeing a Gremlin. So the shock factor might not be there. But yeah, guys, look, fresh news came out today. I'm reporting it live on the show tonight. But like I said already, exciting news for Gremlins fans. Let me know in the chat, will you watch this when it releases, or are you like, nah, I'm kind of done with Gremlins, you want something new and fresh? Let me know. We as parents don't think we realize until too late how dark it was. Well, this is, yeah, because they wrapped it up in like a whole cute creature thing, so there was always that attachment to it. And yeah, I've not watched a Gremlins movie in years, but I think if I go to watch that movie, I'll be like, raw, like kids actually watch this film in the 80s 90s. But yeah, all right, cool. Let's take it to the next news for tonight, and it is to do with another reboot, but it's a prequel, and it's for Rambo. We are getting another Rambo movie, and it's going to be a prequel. Let's get into this news. So Joe and Anthony Russo have jumped on board the John Rambo prequel movie as executive producers through their AGBO banner. Jamari Helander, I hope that let me start that again. Jalmari Helander, I hope I pronounced their name correctly, is set to direct, and Noah Centineo. I keep muddling the names. It's late. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Jamari Helander is set to direct, and Noah Centineo is in final talks to star in Rambo, an origin pick from Lionsgate and Millennium Media. AGBO's entire team, led by Anthony and Joe, are creative innovators who are delivering the most emotionally satisfying and inventive action-led storytelling in theaters around the world today. Let's see with here the filmmakers. So if you don't know, Joe and Anthony Russo were behind Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, some of the big Marvel films. They're currently doing Avengers Doomsday, and they will be directing Avengers Secret Wars. They did 2 films with Chris Hemsworth on Netflix. So they're known for doing big blockbusters, big action blockbusters. There doesn't really say anything else. Okay, cool. So yeah, guys, look, we're getting a Rambo prequel. This movie's set to showcase a younger Rambo, with Noah Centineo as a young John Rambo. I mean, still, Stallone is up there with Arnie, and he's probably one of the most iconic actors, and that John Rambo character is one of the most iconic action characters of all time. Is Noah stepping into that role? Can he transform into that legendary character? Because that is what people are gonna first and foremost have when this film releases, or when that first trailer drops. They're gonna just put a like for like, and it's big shoes to fill. It's really big shoes to fill. I mean, do we need a prequel? How many Rambo movies were there? Was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Rambo movies. I mean, the first one came out in 1982. That was set after the Vietnam War. And that's like that covered like PTSD, trauma. And it was, and then the second one, I think First Blood Part 2, or was it Part 1? No, I think Part 2 was probably the big one, in which, you know, Rambo had the bandana, he was shirtless, the explosive arrows, I think the machine gun mayhem. I recall that one being the one that most people remember from Rambo. Let me know if I'm wrong, but I wasn't born then. But the Rambo films that stick in my head that I've watched, definitely First Blood Part 2, and the 2008 Rambo movie when he's living in Thailand. But again, similar to like the Terminator movies with Arnie, Stallone makes Rambo. So I don't understand why. I mean, I know why they're doing another Rambo movie, because it makes money. But yeah, I just kind of wish they just left this one alone. I mean, financially, the film does well, so I get why they want to do it. But having Noah jump into the seat of playing John Rambo, is he going to be convincing? I don't know. Yeah, that's. So I'm just I'm just reading here if there's anything else in there. Yeah, no, guys, that is it. The Russo brothers are producing the new John Rambo movie, which is going to be a prequel. And this prequel is going to be set before Vietnam, so it's going to be set before the films that we've watched Stallone in. So it will be interesting to see how they go about executing that. Yeah, maybe they can pull it off, maybe they can't. But yeah, look, that is it for the Rambo news. Let me know if you are Rambo fans in the chat. I like Rambo, so I probably will end up seeing this, but right now my hopes are not like super up there for a new Rambo movie. I don't think anyone is calling for a new Rambo film. And actually, the more I talk about it now, that last Rambo movie, I didn't enjoy that one at all. But I know, Stallone had to get paid. He had some bills to pay. But yeah, all right, cool. We are nearly at the end of the show. We've got some cool, exciting things to talk about. And this one puts a huge smile on my face. And we are getting a new Mummy movie. And Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are reuniting for this film. Thank you. Let's get into this news. So Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are reuniting for another Mummy adventure. Filmmakers Matt Bellatelli, Olpin, and Tyler Gillett, who call themselves Radio Silence, are set to direct the fourth installment in the decades-old action franchise. These two directors are best known for 2019's Ready or Not and reviving the Scream franchise for Paramount in 2022. There's been no comment from Universal about the original monster movie, but yeah, exciting news, man. There's no release date yet for this Mummy movie, just that it's in production. I mean, the first Mummy movie came out in 1999. Rick O'Connell, played by Brendan Fraser, he's leading a team to uncover a lost Egyptian city. They accidentally awaken Imhotep, which is, for me growing up, that's an iconic character, I would say. And there's, what, I've watched the Mummy movie so many times, and it's always on ITV. If you ever want to watch the Mummy, just put on ITV over a weekend. It will be on. And yeah, Imhotep was he was a cursed high priest with supernatural powers. And yeah, it's basically a fun adventure with Rick O'Connell trying to stop this ancient mummy. And, it's a mix of action, adventure, a little bit of horror there. Very cheesy. Some humor, Indiana Jones, kind of Indiana Jones with supernatural elements. The first, it was made with a budget of $80 million, and it grossed $417 million worldwide. Box office success. Then you had The Mummy Returns in 2001. Again, they faced the resurrection of Imhotep again. But now he's seeking the Scorpion King, the powerful Scorpion King, to raise an army. And this is where we had The Rock play the Scorpion King. If you look back at it now, the graphics, the CGI, atrocious. But at that time, it was cool. I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, the spectacle's a bit grander in this one. It was cool seeing The Rock as the Scorpion King. And yeah, more of the same from the first one. And yeah, I like that one. Then you had The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Empire that Jet Li starred in, that came out in 2008. This shifted to more, because the other two films felt more practical, like sets were real and the mummies were real, and it just kind of gave that realism to the film. Whereas this one was, as if I remember, it felt very CGI heavy, and it left the Egyptian horror roots behind, and they traveled to China, where a cursed emperor played by Jet Li is resurrected. Similar format, but just in a different region, different location. Again, did really well at the box office. Budget was a lot bigger. They spent more because there was, again, we're in newer times. A lot more CGI was used. Rachel Weisz did not return, though. This was making the first mummy movie without her on-screen presence. But I didn't like this one as much as the first two. They definitely didn't have as much charm and just funness about it. Then they decided to totally ditch the Brendan Fraser storyline, and then you had The Mummy that came out in 2017, and this was the Tom Cruise reboot, and this was like the launch of Universal's dark universe for monster films. They were going to have like Frankenstein. I think there was like a ghost one. Then you had The Mummy. I think there was going to be a Dracula, and they were all going to somehow connect this monster verse, and The Mummy was the launch of it. And it totally shifted away from what we knew and loved about the previous Mummy movies, and it was darker, very horror heavy, action focused, and it kind of it lost that Indiana Jones funness about it. Did well because The Mummy attracts people to the cinemas. You know, the first two movies did really well. Again, $125 million budget, and it grossed $410 million. But I didn't like this movie at all, and a lot of people didn't like this movie. Fans, the reception of the movie was extremely poor, so poor that the plan for the Dark Universe was mostly shelved. And Brendan Fraser didn't appear at all in the movie. It was Tom Cruise who led the film. So yeah, this news is really cool. I'm happy that they're bringing back the two leads from the original cast. Yeah, there's no news about, you know, what the story is going to be or who the other cast members are going to be, but expect probably a similar tone to the first two movies, just with a bit of money, better graphics, CGI behind it. This is their first, so this is Brendan and Rachel's first full reunion, actually, since 2001, The Mummy Returns. So I hope they bring it back to what we know and love about The Mummy. And of course, we want to see some things done slightly differently. We're in a newer era now, day and age of film. But yeah, keep to The Mummy. We want to see what we saw in the first two movies. But yeah, there's no release date for this film. I would probably expect this to release in sometime in 2027. But yeah, let me know, guys, in the chat if you are fans of the Mummy movies, especially the first two films, like I am, or if you're not, let me know. And yeah, of course, when more news becomes available about The Mummy, the fourth Mummy movie, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. All right, we get into the last news segment for tonight, and it's a big one. But before I get into this, don't forget, guys, to like the stream if you haven't already. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. By the way, guys, we are over 700 subscribers. 703 subscribers to be exact. So thank you very much for following me on this journey. I know that sounds cheesy, I'm joking, but you know, I appreciate you guys subscribing. The channel's growing at a really good pace, getting really good engagement, and people seem to be liking this live stream format. It was a big jump for me changing to this. I was used to pre-recording and stuff, but I think this is more fun. I get to engage with more people. So yeah, I appreciate that. hopefully we can get the 1K soon, because that's when I start getting paid. Gotta start paying me for this. All right, cool. Now I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna risk the channel in terms of getting what do you call it, emails from YouTube saying that I can't remember the term, but basically when you play stuff that isn't yours, you get a strike. But I feel I have to play this because this is such a big trailer, and it's for the Michael Jackson biopic. So before I even discuss this, and I've spoken about the Michael film on previous I spoke about the Michael film on previous shows. I'm just going to let the trailer play for itself. So I'm going to mute up and we're going to watch this together. And hopefully YouTube doesn't take this down, because I can't wait for this film.
I know you've been waiting a long time for this.
We've been waiting a long time.
The tracks are made. The songs are ready. Let's take it from the top. This is your story. Honor your past.
So you wanna be starting soon?
And embrace the future. That's what people want.
Q, can you lower the lights for me, please?
Okay, but remember, in here, keep those feet still, my man.
Yes, that is what we are talking about. Yo, this is Michael.
But remember.
Q, can you lower the lights for me, please?
Okay.
That's Michael. That is Michael. Yeah, okay, the nose is a bit, but this is prior to the accident. So they done Michael dirty with that nose. Oh, but this is Michael Jackson.
Can you lower the lights for me, please?
Okay.
And that is not AI, by the way. That is how he sounds. There was a tweet on Twitter that they showcased him actually singing, and he sounds exactly like Michael Jackson. But my gosh, I was worried about this film because, like I said in previous shows, that they had to take the part out to do with one of the court cases. So there's a whole, I think the final third of the movie, they had to cut out and reshoot and redo everything. Now this movie reportedly is going to take you close to it's going to take you up to the bad era. Now online they're saying that if the movie does well financially and it's received really well, then they will do a sequel. Originally this movie was supposed to be a part 1 and part 2, but now, as we know it for now, it's just one movie. Now, as Michael Jackson fans, we know you cannot condense a Michael Jackson story into one film, not unless this film is like 4 hours long, which I don't think is going to be, but I easily see them doing a sequel. But let's just watch this again. The way they merged the songs in the trailer.
I know you've been waiting a long time for this. The tracks are made. The songs are ready.
So that's Kendrick Sampson who's playing Quincy Jones.
This is your story. Honor your past.
So you wanna be starting soon?
And embrace the future. That's what people want.
I mean, look at wait, where is this stuff? Look at that. They've got this on point.
Honor your past.
So you wanna be starting soon?
And embrace the future. That's what people want.
Jeez. Beat it, bad.
Q, can you lower the lights for me, please?
Okay, but remember, in here, keep those feet still, my man.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie, April 24th, this film comes out. I think this is going to be easily 2 billion at the box office. Easily. We're talking grandmas, granddads, mom, dads, aunties, uncles from the early generation of Michael. Then you've got hit the 90s kids. Then you've got kind of like the early 2000s. Then you've got all the influences of Michael from like Chris Brown to Usher to other. So all the people that listen to them, they go back and listen to Michael. Michael's influence is throughout most of this current generation. Beyonce, all the top stars is from the school of Michael Jackson. So everyone knows about Michael Jackson, and everyone is going to want to know the story of Michael, because we've not seen it done in this way. We've had we have had some biopics of Michael, but they weren't done to this level. You've got a solid director, Antoine Fuqua, who's a great director, known for, he did the Equalizer movie, he did most known for Training Day with Denzel. Who else is there? The cast for this, I mean, Jaafar Jackson is playing Michael. Coleman Domingo, I mean, I don't think we saw Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson in the trailer. He's playing Michael's father. Nia Long is playing Catherine Jackson, who's Michael's mother. We saw Miles Teller in the trailer, so he's playing the entertainment lawyer and manager of Michael. Who else is there? You've got, like I said, Kendrick Sampson, who's playing Quincy Jones, and a whole load of other people. Kat Graham playing Diana Ross. I mean, yeah, like I said, this movie easily going to make 2 billion. This is probably going to be the quickest film to pass over 2 billion at the box office. The only way this doesn't work is if somehow Lionsgate fumbles the marketing for the movie. But even with that said, we just watched that trailer that dropped earlier today. That's already on over 1 million views in less than half a day. So yeah, I'm excited for this movie, and it's in good hands. The 24th of April next year, the Michael biopic is out, and yeah, let me know if you guys in the chat are excited to see this Michael movie. I am, and boy, as someone who reviews stuff, it's gonna be exciting to review it, but I hope the PR lot don't become all like FBI with screenings for this film. I'd love to interview the cast for this as well. I think I would speak to them for hours. That would be amazing to interview everyone for this. But yeah, look, that was the trailer for the Michael Jackson biopic. It looks like my stream is still going, so we were okay to play this trailer. I'm happy about that. And yeah, with more news, I probably won't show another trailer of that film, because I tend to just watch the first teaser trailer, and then that kind of lets me know what I'm getting into, and I don't want anything else to be ruined. But we've got some people excited in the chat. I'm so excited for this. I read that already. The accent is spot on. 100%. They got that. People thought that was AI. I don't think that it's AI. I think that's how he actually sounds. And we didn't even get to him singing in the film. And there's a clip on Twitter. I wish I could show it, but I couldn't get the link. He's singing a Michael song, and he sounds like Michael Jackson. So yeah, I think it's in good hands. I think it will be a good film. All right, guys, cool. That is it for the news segment, and we're going to get into the review segment, and I'm going to be talking about Predator and Predator Badlands. This is the latest Predator movie. And yeah, let's get into my thoughts about Predator Badlands. So this movie, this one takes the franchise in a completely new direction. We're far in the future, long after the events of the Predator and Alien movies. The story for this Predator Badlands film is set on a remote planet called Jenna, where we follow Dek, who's a young predator who's been cast out of his clan. He's forced to survive the Badlands, which is this planet with an unlikely ally, a synthetic played by Ellie Fanning, and they basically embark on this dangerous journey in search for the ultimate adversary. Now, straight away, what makes Badlands stand out is that this is the first time we've ever followed a predator as the main character. Normally in the previous Predator movies, Predator he's the villain, but this time we actually follow him as the protagonist, and that alone gives the film a really fresh perspective. It mixes the slow burn tension of Prey, which was the movie this director Dan Trachtenberg released before. So Prey was kind of like a Predator film set in a different time. Really good film, by the way. It's on Disney Plus. But that because of the time it was set in, it didn't have like all the bells and whistles, the futuristic setting that we're used to with Predator movies. So it was a bit more of a slow burn, bit more of a more personable movie. And then Badlands blends that with the original Predator feel, and somehow makes that combination work. Standout performance here is definitely Ellie Fanning. She plays a damaged Weyland-Yutani synthetic. If you know what that means in the Predator and Alien universe, then you know where Dan could be taking this Predator franchise. And her character is the only character who speaks English, because in this film, they actually created a Predator language, completely new language that I don't think I've heard to this scale before in previous Predator movies. And she brings a lot of wit, charisma, charm, and emotional depth, which helps to open up Dek, who's the lead predator in this film. It opens that character in really interesting ways. But I have to also shout out Demetrius Schuster Kolomantanji. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. But he plays Dek, who is the lead predator in this film. Like I mentioned, the predators don't speak any English in this film, and they created the language for this movie. But through his pure physical performance, he makes Dek feel fierce, vulnerable at times, and expressive. You know, you genuinely connect with this predator. You're following him as if you're following like the Mandalorian, which is something I've never seen before in the series. Kind of with these two characters, like it does feel kind of Mandalorian-ish, and it is under Disney, so I could see why they're kind of inspired by that, but it doesn't go too Disney, I'd say, this film. You know, that two character dynamic, and then you have the emotional beats and then big bursts of action in between the emotional connections, similar to Mandalorian, but I think they do really well with keeping it Predator mostly. Now, Dek himself isn't like any predators we've seen before. The design still nods to the classic, you know, the classics that we've seen in the past, but his behavior is where the real changes in this movie. He's not just like a cold-blooded hunter. He has a purpose in this film. There's emotion, and there's something to prove from Dek. He doesn't have access to the usual high-end tech gear as well, not his full weaponry. So he's actually forced to use the world around him to survive on this Badland, and actually gives the action in this film a raw, almost like primal edge that makes most of the fight scenes feel earned throughout the whole movie. Visually, the film looks really good. I was fortunate enough to watch this on the big IMAX screen in London, the one in Waterloo. So I watched it on the biggest screen possible, and it looks great. And I think the world building is fantastic in this movie. The planet, the creatures, all of it just feels creative and actually believable. It doesn't lean into the same sense of isolation and suspense as the previous Predator movies, but instead this feels bigger and more expansive because Dec isn't alone on this journey. But that broader scale actually kind of adds to the freshness of this movie. The action scenes are intense, really well executed, and because Dec is limited in what he can use, you actually see him get creative throughout the film, using the environment, traps being set, improvising on weapons, and it keeps you locked in. It actually gives you this feeling of, okay, what is Dec going to do next? The violence as well, it's all there. It's under Disney, I know, but the violence is still there. It's earned, and especially in the final act, you know, I think Dec does really well from a violent side. Story-wise, the film explores some themes of survival, horror, belonging, family, humanity, and that's all blended really well. You can definitely feel Dec's struggle to prove himself to his clan, and that's the reason why he goes out on this adventure, to prove himself that he is a fierce predator. And his connection to Elephant Synth adds this emotional layer that humanizes the predator in a new way, some way that we haven't seen before. Now, the big question people are going to ask, what is this? The comparison to the 1987 Predator movie, the OG Predator film that set everything off with Arnie. Now, that movie will always be untouchable for what it was. You know, I don't think anything is going to match or surpass that Predator film. Prey, the movie that I just spoke about as well, that also had like an intimate, focused story, tighter pace. But Badlands, it definitely leans into the spectacle a lot more and world building, and for me it stands out apart from the first Predator movie. This stands out as probably my favorite after that film. It's a bold swing. Like, I don't think a lot of OG Predator fans, sorry, let me say that again. I think some OG Predator fans are not going to love this film because there is just like a little sprinkle of Disney in it. And when you watch it, you'll know what I mean. But I actually think the bold swing that they took with this movie actually pays off. Because, you know, I think if you're going to propel a series to the next level, you kind of have to take a risk and do something different. And I think this was the needed risk to move this franchise forward. If I had one gripe with the movie, I would say that the film, the sharpness and the beats of the film aren't always there. Prey, which is the previous, I keep naming, but Prey is the previous movie that Dan Trachtenberg directed before this Predator movie. That film felt a lot slicker, and the beats in that film just felt better. Whereas Badlands, there are some moments in the film where you're kind of like, okay, let's keep it moving. Let's move on. Also, the ending kind of does stretch out. I kind of wish they cut a bit of it, just made it a bit sharper, and it didn't need to be as long as it needed to be. But overall, guys, this is a brilliant ride. For me, it's Predator Badlands is absolutely worth watching in the cinema. If you're a fan of the Predator universe and you're someone who is open to seeing Predator in a new angle, then definitely go and watch this. If you're someone who just wants a great visuals, action-packed sci-fi movie, then this is definitely worth your time. So this gets the stamp of approval. Dan Trachtenberg, man, whatever he's doing with the Predator movies and how he's working with Disney just need to leave Dan Trachtenberg and just let him work with Predator and Alien and anything else that comes with it. Because yeah, he's on a good run right now. So yeah, this is out tomorrow in cinemas, the 7th of November, and that is my review for Predator Badlands. Oh, actually, I got told this during the screening. Apparently, the iRobot, the Will Smith movie, was supposed to be linked in to the Alien franchise, because apparently the robot in iRobot was made from Yutani, which I was just like, huh? How would that have worked out? Because iRobot and Predator and Alien are three. I mean, Predator and Alien you can see working, but iRobot, I don't know how that works. But yeah, I found that quite a fun fact. Is it Alien or Predator? I'll find it next time. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the show, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know if you're going to watch Predator Badlands. If you've just tuned in, I will have a clip of my review for Predator right after the show, so you can listen to that again. Next week is another big week for the Everything Lowery Show. I'll be having 2 reviews. It will be Nuremberg, which is a film out next week, Friday, and then the big one, which is The Running Man, which is, yes, a reboot of the classic Arnie movie. We have a different director and a different lead actor for that film, so I will be reviewing both of those movies, as well as going through the latest news for film and TV next week. Guys, I appreciate you joining. I know this is late, it's nearly midnight. Blame traitors, but next week it'll be back to a regular schedule of probably about 9 p.m. I think 8 p.m. slightly too early, but I should be on at 9 p.m. Let me know if you guys like 9 p.m. If you don't, let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, look, I won't keep you much longer. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate the likes, the chats, the engagement. We're now over 700 subscribers. We're very close to 1K. And I will see you next week, similar time, a bit earlier, on the Everything Lowery Show, Thursday. You know where to be. Have a great weekend, guys. Stay safe. And yeah, peace.